Today I have Andrey, and I'm going to butcher his last name, so I'm going to let him say it.
It's Shelokovskiy.
Shelokovskiy. Every time I screw it up.
It's not as difficult as it looks on a paper.
No, it's how many letters is it in real life?
Well, I don't know.
All right, so let's go over you. You are an immigrant to the United States. You're a business owner, and quite a few other things have stood in your way, but you've triumphed.
Yeah.
And I want to hear the story from basically from start to finish, how you went from Kazakhstan to the United States to you were kicked out at one point, I think. Let's dive
not
into
quite,
it.
but yeah, I didn't know this was supposed to be an immigration interview.
Yeah.
Well,
Start me in Kazakhstan.
like early or semi-early? How back you want to go?
We'll go from high school
Yeah.
forward. How's that?
Oh, that sounds good. Yeah. Started working pretty early. When I was 17, I think I got my first full-time job. I finished 9 grades, so I didn't really go to high school. So I did a trade college, or like we call it colleges. So it's like a trade school basically. Studied mechanic. You know me, I'm a shitty mechanic.
Yeah. I've never seen you with a tool in your life.
No, me neither. So, yeah, that's thanks God for Kazakhstan education, right? But yeah, started working early. Kind of find my way through oil and gas. I think when I was 18, I met I was working at the bar at a hotel, so I met the visitor that was coming in regularly, and then he's basically offered me a job at the service company. So they used to do a tubular manufacturing for all the downhole equipment that goes into the well. So it basically all the tubes, drill pipes, sublifts, whatever. So and then he offered me a job. At that point, I could probably speak maybe several sentences in English, and I didn't know what the hell was going on. So he offered me a job. I said yes. I didn't know what I agreed to, essentially, and I saw that in the contract as just general labor. So I ended up being a laborer after the bar. I ended up being a laborer at the site yard, helping the yard manager. So and then the company was Scottish. So the guy that used to manage the operations, he said, "Well, you got to learn the equipment. You got to learn several things here, and then you'll be able to have an opportunity for career growth." So in about a month and a half, I was promoted to operations administrator. I was like, well, that was easy.
Were you speaking English at that point?
A little bit.
Yeah.
That's where, like, in the bar, I started practicing more. I hired a private teacher, and then I started getting into it because out of high school or out of school, I didn't really speak any English. So that was a fun experience, and I thought at the time, my English is great, which is total crap at the time. But yeah, so 6 months later, I got promoted to operations supervisor. Had 19 people to manage. I was 19 years old at the time. If you ask me, that was a horrible experience.
Yeah.
As far as people hated me, and everybody was older, so it was very difficult for a kid to figure out, how to manage a grown adults that know what they're doing.
Right.
So. And then, I was always opportunistic from that point on, where I had another person actually that met me in the same restaurant or the same bar in a hotel, and he was a Norwegian guy. He actually offered me, I don't know why to this day, unfortunately, but he offered me to come and learn English at his company. So he paid me more than I made being the supervisor for the service company, and then they wanted me to they wanted to sponsor me and send me to Norway to study, and I thought it was weird, but I said yes. So here I was, 4 months in, passed the English exam that I needed to for the college, and they said that at the time all all the investments and like outside funding was canceled. So there was no longer an opportunity to go and study, and they offered me a job to work for them in Kazakhstan as the logistics manager, logistics and warehouse manager. They had several issues that they wanted to fix, so I said yes. And that was probably, I did regret that decision for quite a long time, leaving the service company, because I hated logistics so bad. Like that was definitely not something that I could handle, or that I like to do, or like had any was passionate
Were these,
about.
as you're moving up, were you getting pay increases?
Yes.
And compare a living wage in Kazakhstan to a living wage in the United States.
Oh yeah, like at this point right now, the minimal, not the minimal, but I'm like median wage in Kazakhstan is about
The average.
Yeah, the average is like $500 a month.
$500 US dollars a month.
Mm-hmm. Right now. I mean.
Right now.
Yeah.
And then when you were doing it 10, 12 years ago.
Probably like $200.
What did that afford you in that country?
I mean, you couldn't afford the rent, so I lived with my mom.
Yeah.
You could afford groceries. You can have very, very simple lifestyle. But I mean, living with the mom, like it did allow me to do the stuff that I wanted to do,
right.
and buy the stuff that I needed at that point in time.
Well, I ask you all this because your story is so fascinating to me, that you go from essentially poverty, what would be considered poverty in the United States, and we'll get into it, but you made your way over the United States, and you've kind of built the American dream from a completely foreign nation, Borat's nation, right?
Well, there you go. Yeah. Well, a lot of my neighbors, they all want to hear about Borat.
they talk like Borat, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, not my neighbors here. They do talk like Borat to me.
So you're living off $200, $300 a month. How does one go from that? How do you work your way through the system to be able to afford to even visit the United States, let alone move here and start a family?
Yeah. So that gets us to, so being logistics manager, I was paid pretty well. Like I made well over average, and at a time I had several people to manage. So I mean, the pay wasn't bad. I could afford to save money at a time. And then my wife, my girlfriend at the time, which is my wife now, she studied in Prague, in Czech Republic. So actually on a business trip to Norway, I stayed for a couple more weeks and visited her in Prague, which probably was the biggest thing that could ever happen to me, like visiting foreign country. Because I mean, before then I did travel to neighboring countries and around Kazakhstan, but what really enlightened me and gave me more broader picture is visiting Norway. I thought I was in a fairy tale. I mean, I still have goosebumps talking about it to this day, but I feel like the world was so different. Like at that point in time,
different from where you were coming from.
Yeah, and I thought to myself, I could spend the last dollar I have and just travel. And that's what we try to do with my wife and my family, like to travel. We've visited ever since about 27 countries, and our kids travel with us as well. So that's one of the things, I feel like changed me as a person. Like just seeing different perspectives, seeing different people, trying different food cultures and stuff like that, and that's what kind of made me curious, in a nutshell. But the Norwegian company was on the brink of closing down their operations, and what they've decided, they decided they're going to shut down the Kazakhstan operation because they worked for one main EPC contractor in oil and gas in Kazakhstan, which was kicked out of the project.
Okay.
So and then basically, we're talking about shutting down operations. I'm one of the last guys in the company, packing things up, shipping back to Norway, to Finland, and then I have a guy to help me do all that and wrap up the operations. So at that point, I started my distance learning in the university in Kazakhstan. I was admitted for petroleum engineering. And then...
and you're what, 22 at this time?
I think I'm 22 exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was 2011. No, I was 21. 2011, the company is shutting down, and then like that's a kind of intermediary time in between. And then one of the guys walks in into our base that we had the warehouse on, and he talks to my boss, and he says, I'm setting new operations here for a paint distribution. And do you know any people that I can hire? He was like, well, we're shutting down the company, blah, blah, blah. I have logistics manager. It's like, well, the logistics manager position is filled. It's like, well, Andrey is a good guy, talk to him. So he offered me a sales job. I've never done sales at that time, but I was so desperate. I needed to pay for my university.
Right.
I needed to pay for my living. I needed to help my mom. And I was like, well, I'll do it. So I don't know how the hell I passed the interview, but the second guy that was interviewing together with him voted against me. Like, he was, that's a failure. Like, don't hire him. He's not the person you need. So, but I got the job offer. I accepted less money to move into that position, and I was like, well, we'll give it a try. So a year in, learned the industry, learned the products. We were mainly serving the oil and gas market, marine market.
Selling paint.
Selling paint, yeah, that was industrial products, epoxies, polyurethanes, stuff like that. So a year in, I negotiate my way into a regional manager position to cover several markets. Now I got a team to manage. Now I got logistics to manage. I got I think I had at the time the operations people, and that's where I started to feel a bit of a taste of a victory. Like that I could do certain things if I put my mind to it, if I put my effort into it, and I could see the results, and it started to pay off. That's where I feel like I started gaining confidence along the way, where I started to believe that anything I could put my mind to, can happen. So like transitioning that over from, it's a long answer to your question, but that's where I think a lot of things.
Is that when the
started to
American
change.
dream started?
No, I didn't even think about America at that time. That was like way. That was way out. I've never thought about moving to another country, to be honest.
Right. Well, I've been to your house. You're here. I mean, you obviously moved here, so. So I spent 2 years with that company, and then I got into a boss who hired me. He went to do his own gig. He started his own business, and he asked me to lead the division of the corrosion division for him. So at the time, they were selling a cathodic protection equipment for underground pipelines, storage tanks, that kind of stuff. And I decided to give it a try, came on board, and I was like, well, paint is a bread and butter. That's what we used to do. Yeah.
That's, a quick and easy turnaround as far as the life cycle of the sales, because the cathodic protection equipment, I mean, it can take you, before you commission, before you, install the equipment and manufacture it all, it's all custom made. It takes about 18 to 24 months easily. And then, the company can die within that cycle.
Right.
Billables are huge. So, and then we decided that we're gonna approach a business, a painting manufacturer that's a reputable company, but does not have a presence in Kazakhstan or has a weak presence. So we looked at the market, we looked at the specifications of the major oil and gas owners that were present there, and PPG was one of them. So PPG had a distributor, very tiny company. They didn't really focus on it, on developing the paint segment. They've got a bunch of stuff to sell, but it was basically like a big store. And then we decided we're gonna approach the country manager for PPG, and then give them an opportunity to become.
So you brought PPG in.
Yeah. So I wrote a business plan, and then we met.
They didn't exist in Kazakhstan before.
Not really. They had like a tiny
small
operations.
Presence.
Yeah.
And then
so,
you brought them in.
Yeah. So we came and.
PPG is a huge name in the paint world.
Yeah, 47,000 people across the globe,
Yeah.
and then I think it was like 16 billion operation or something like that. But yes, so basically we're bringing in PPG on board. We are the latest company to enter the market in the country. The runner-ups, like the front-facing competitors, are huge and massive, and one of them we worked for. So in the meantime, I didn't know that the company that I joined. In the meantime, I didn't know that they had huge debt. So they had a massive credit line. I mean, it was over $1 million, and in Kazakhstan money, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So you can imagine now. And at a certain point, I'm finding out that our bank accounts are locked. There's no incoming payments. There's no outgoing payments. There's nothing. There's several court cases that are looming against us from the vendors and suppliers and so forth and so on.
And you're working for this company at that
And I'm
point.
working for that company, and then I'm 23 years old. I just got married, or 24.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, well, that's a hell of a challenge. I had mixed feelings at the time, but then for some reason I started to push more and work harder. I had a team already that I've hired for that company, so we actually I decided to not take salary for 4 months, and then we decided to pay people that I've hired so we can fulfill our promises. And in that meantime, in that crucial moment, we've nailed several large projects that we could supply to. And then another challenge is the supplier would not supply us the materials because we didn't pay them for several months in a row. So we had to go look for external funding and stuff like that. I mean, it was crazy. We were probably a couple of weeks away from bankruptcy.
Yeah.
At that point. So which gave me, a lot of life experience and business experience, hands-on.
Very quickly too. You jumped
Very
in.
quickly,
Yeah.
Exactly. So basically, by the end of the day, we were able to secure several projects after that point, supply those projects successfully. One of the things happened in the meantime is the devaluation of Kazakhstan tenge. So we had basically an exchange rate 150 tenge to $1, and now it's like 380 to $1. So all the contracts are fixed in tenge. So I had to negotiate several larger contracts. I had to negotiate how to get out of those contracts, write new contracts, supplement all that. We broke several relationships with people because of that, and overstepped several people. But I'm like, we had to do what we had to do in order to survive at that point.
Yeah. Right.
So it was interesting how all these challenges kind of came together at that point. But several years later, business was doing pretty well, so we were able to get rid of all the debt, and we were able to become cash positive. So before I left, I'll get a little ahead of myself, but before I left and started a business here in the States, we were number 2 in the country,
Okay.
out of 5 competitors, and right now this company is number 1. So they annihilated all the competition with the team that I've built back in the day. So I'm very proud of them to achieve that 2 years in a row.
Right.
So at that point,
Are you still involved with the company?
a little bit minor.
Yeah.
Yeah, not major involvement. But the reason for the move basically came in that time where a lot of things were vanilla.
Yeah.
There's not much I need to do. There's a team in place. Everybody's trained. Everybody knows what to do. I was like, do I need to be here? I just felt like I reached my ceiling in a way. And I mean, you got to understand, the economy of Kazakhstan is like the Dallas economy, the Dallas-Fort Worth economy is 3.5 times bigger than my entire country.
Okay.
So like on GDP perspective, right?
Yeah.
So that's where, I mean, you can only grow as much as the economy allows you.
Right.
So, and then I asked for several opportunities with PPG, with my employer, but they were reluctant to promote me. And I was like, well, I think I'll do something else. And in that time also, we had our first child, Lizzie, and then I think a year and a half after she was born, I started looking into, moving to another country, where I was like, well, I want her to experience something different. I don't want her to experience the environment that I was brought up in, and that's one of the like major catalyst of the decision. So the kid, as well as the like the career opportunity and then the business opportunity, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can't imagine myself having something established here and then deciding, well, I'm gonna kind of abandon that, move to a new country with no serious game plan. And then what you did is insane. I mean, you came over here and just started a company. You didn't even go to work for someone. You're just like, I'm just going to go all in. What most Americans are completely afraid to do on their own, start a company. They would just go work for someone. You come over here and you start a paint company. I mean, you're familiar with paint, obviously, but you come over here.
Yeah, I've never been a painting contractor before.
Right.
Yeah, but the thing is, the way I looked at it, I mean, obviously we had a cushion, and I mean everything was fine. So like, we were not really struggling or anything. But the way I looked at it is, would I regret my decision 20 years from now if I didn't make it? Like if I didn't pursue that opportunity or that dream, right? And the answer was yes. So I would rather fail right now, because right now is a perfect time for failure. I mean, like, I'm young.
Young enough to bounce back,
exactly.
right?
So, but I'm like, if I'm sitting in a chair, I'm 60 years old, I would regret that for the rest of my life. That's where, I had a strong desire to pursue that.
And you did exactly that. You come over here. The story you told me is you come over here on almost a vacation tour.
Yeah.
And then you just decided that you're.
So we didn't know we're gonna stay at that time, because I mean, I was still employed. Everything was well. We planned on a vacation, so we came on a vacation and then we traveled from New York to Florida. I mean, great trip with a family, Disneyland and all that kind of stuff. So, and in the meantime, I think a couple of months prior, I started talking to 360 at the time, and then
360 painting.
Yeah, 360 painting. And then they invited me to visit for one of the discovery days they had going on, and I was like, well, I'm traveling, I'm driving anyways.
And
so
360 Painting is a franchise here in the United States.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, the franchise
that you can buy
out
into
of Virginia.
Yeah, and create your own company in another city.
Exactly. Yeah. So they brought me in for discovery day. I mean, presentations, people sell, so you get excited.
Right.
Along the way, while I was traveling, I decided to visit several franchisees that were successful, and had a couple of conversations, and I got really excited. So on the way to Florida, I think around Jacksonville, I told my wife, I feel like the time is now. She's like, you gotta be kidding me, you're crazy. I mean, she was pregnant at the time, so we didn't really intend to stay or anything. It was just the timing where I felt like it's now or never, because we'll go back. I'll get back to my job. We'll probably never do this again.
And when you say stay, you really mean you stayed in America. You didn't go home, right?
Yeah, we didn't go home. So
you come for vacation.
Basically, yeah, we started a business. While I was in Florida, I started a business in Dallas, and I've never been in Dallas at that point. I looked at the map.
See, this is what's crazy to me. I mean, I'm just thinking, okay, I go to another country, I visit someone in this city that I like, and I'm enjoying it, and they go, well, we have an opportunity 2,000 miles away. Would you like to take that opportunity? Oh, yeah, sure, that sounds great.
Maybe 10,000 miles away.
I mean, what?
Yeah. I know it sounds crazy, but I mean, to me, I've been to U.S. Before then. I've been to U.S. several times, so I've traveled quite a lot. I've been to 15 states. I could figure what the U.S. is about a little bit.
Yeah.
But you know, I was looking at the economy, I was looking at demographics, and Dallas was a no-brainer.
Right.
Like Texas in general was no-brainer. So, and that's where we're like, okay, one of the criteria was I need to have a basketball team.
Well, we got that.
we got that squared away. So, and then what was interesting is that we had nobody in Dallas. Like literally, I knew 0 people. And one of the nights, me and my wife were sitting in an apartment. She goes, "Well, if something goes wrong with us, what are we gonna do? Who are we gonna call?" I'm like, "We'll figure it out." But yeah, it's the start of it was crazy. I was questioning myself. You know, I didn't know what was gonna happen. But in the meantime, you know, I've asked my family to sacrifice a lot that they had back home.
Yeah.
And then I've sacrificed a lot as well. And there's no way I could fail.
Because I mean, ultimately, with the income you had there, you were towards the top of the food chain in Kazakhstan.
Yeah, exactly.
And through hard work and just happenstance and whatever
Yeah.
happened, you ended up in that position, and you could have stayed there
Yeah.
and been a wealthy man in your country.
Yeah, if I wanted to have a simple life and, you know, don't do much, I could not. I mean, I could survive without working for maybe 35, 40 years.
Right.
So like I didn't need to, but in the same time, that's boring.
Of course it is.
Like, what do you do?
Yeah. Well, that's what separates you. So you come to the United States, you're settled, you've started a company, and then I don't know, was it a year and a half ago?
Year ago, yeah.
Yeah. You and I have a conversation, and
Yeah.
you're in Texas, and we're literally shooting pool.
Yeah.
And you tell me, you go, I got to go back home for a while. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, what?
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, when we decided to stay, we filed for a change of status,
Yep.
and then I've started a business. So we are under investor visa, and
Which means you've taken money outside foreign money, you've put it into the United States, and you've created a company and jobs here.
Exactly.
Right. So
Yeah.
in my mind, that's a huge positive.
Yeah, but the problem was the attorneys that I had to file this case, they made a mistake, and they made a crucial mistake. So I had so we had a petition approved for investor visa, right? But with that petition, we could not travel outside. If we travel outside, basically it means that we're losing the status. So when we needed to go back to Kazakhstan and file for a visa at the consulate. So we got everything ready. The attorneys prepared the document package and everything, but they forgot to file the petition. So the officer, in my mind, made a predetermination that we have overstayed and lived here illegally, which was not the case. But that document missing.
One paper.
One paper. And he decided he's not going to just mess with it and deny it. So that's where I got a denial for an investor visa, and I couldn't come back here for 4 months. So I had to juggle between managing the operations here remotely, 11 hours, 11-hour difference.
Yeah.
It was surreal.
Very, very trying.
You were involved in that.
Yeah, a little bit. Not much, but a little bit.
You did
yeah.
help me with that, yeah. But I mean, it took us a while to get all the documents back squared away. I had to fire that attorney, hire a new attorney. You know, we got it all put back together, and then.
But this is part of the crazy story of you. I mean, it's first of all, you did everything you did. You created wealth in a country that's relatively poor. You come to the United States to try something. You succeeded, and then because of a small documentation error, you're essentially kicked out of the country with a business that's brand new and in its infantile phase. You really need to be involved heavily in it because it's your business, and everyone knows Andrey 360. They're synonymous. You don't have a whole team.
Sure.
And you're gone for 4 months. That would bankrupt most businesses.
Yeah.
And I mean, you leave your apartment here, you leave your team here, and you have to go back home and find some housing because you weren't living there anymore.
Yeah.
And then work remotely from there here, run the business, hoping the United States government says, yeah, you can come back in.
Yeah. Well, at that point.
And you just kept pushing.
Yeah, but I'm like, what do you do?
Well, yeah.
At that point, I was mentally ready that it was a matter of when. It was not a matter of if,
Yeah.
right? So it was when will that get approved, and when will we, get the green light to come back. But the thing is, I was mentally ready that my business will fall apart, it will be nothing, and then I will just rebuild it again.
Yeah.
So that's where, I mean, in that moment, like in a year and a half that I was here and that we built the business up, I've seen so much opportunity here that I mean, that's something that I never had access to.
Right.
So, I mean, the opportunity here is gigantic and enormous, and I'm super excited about, what's out there to come,
Yeah,
like, for
'cause
me and my business.
A few years now, you've been building your paint contracting business.
Yeah.
You have a few teams that are out painting houses as we speak.
Yeah.
You're turning dollars. You actually built a company,
Yeah.
which again is a feat in its own, but on top of everything. And now you're like, oh, no, I need more. I'm going to keep pushing. I accomplished this. Time to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to.
So you're growing the paint contracting
Yeah.
business. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've grown every year quite steadily. Like, I mean, the first 10 months were very solid that we've produced the numbers. The second year I've grown it by, even though I was out for 4 months. I mean, my team did a great job. We barely made it, but like we've grown 115% in
Yeah.
that year, me being out 4 months. So it was tough for everybody. Like it did leave a lot of scars on me and the team. But this year we're gonna grow another 25-30% from last year.
Very
nice. And it's just, I mean, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel and the steps that we need to do in order to systemize more and put more people in the right places. And I mean, I can see how to expand and grow this business beyond what I expected.
Yeah. No, for me, it's an incredible story. And I talk to real estate agents, I talk to other people in the building houses, painting houses, other contractors. Some of them and I have these conversations, and everyone, they talk about the trials and tribulations of working. And it's very few people get to see from your perspective. And so when you rise up to this level, it's almost like nothing can stand in your way, and you can keep just pushing and pushing.
Yeah.
Which is, and I mean, you've had problems with the business, but you just kept pushing, and now it's on the rise again.
Well, that's the thing. You're an entrepreneur yourself. Like, there's always problems.
Oh, we've had failures for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, like construction. Obviously, we've got, like, overall in construction, you've got so many layers. The things can go wrong at every single layer. You have so many communication levels. So I mean, it's primed to
like
have,
logistics, which you hate, all over again.
Exactly, yeah. So, if we were not, I mean, if we didn't have those issues, everything was vanilla, then everybody would do it.
Right.
So I guess that's one of the things that separates us from.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if anyone needs a painter that will obviously push all the way through no matter what the problem is, we have Andrey here with 360 Painting. And of course, I mean, you're here, you're settled, you've established yourself, you have a house, your family's growing. You're going to be a serial entrepreneur and start more businesses. What's the game plan for the future?
I mean, since I came from industrial background, I really would love to build out a coatings segment. So if we
not coding.
Coatings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meaning, heavy industrial coatings in the aggressive environments. Could be oil and gas facilities, industrial facilities. Like I've experienced a lot with the intumescent coatings, fire protective coatings for steel structures like storage tank linings, stuff like that. So that's something that I envision would be the next leg up in development. I mean, there's enormous opportunity in that market. There's there's a larger barrier to entry as far as competition goes.
Of course, yeah.
But I mean, it would be fun to do something in the industrial segment.
Barriers to entry. Yeah. There's the bigger industry you want to get into,
Yeah.
the more established these giants
Yeah.
are, and you have to really have
Yeah.
some cash to push your way
For
through.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, but also, your standards need to be way higher. You need to have, a safety programs dialed in. You need to have all your operations dialed in. I mean, we've done several industrial projects in the meantime. They were not like a larger.
Not on the big scale.
They
Yeah.
were not on a big scale. Yeah, we've done like Amazon, and we've done it.
Warehouses and.
Yeah, we've done recently like a packaging facility. So I mean, they were fun projects, and interacting with businesses. That's where I feel best as far as my abilities, and and nurturing those relationships so we can get more business down the road.
Okay. So we'll check in a year and see if you've built a.
If I failed.
Yeah. Yes. Right. Some more paperwork wasn't filed.
Zoom call.
Yeah. No, I love the story, man, and I wanted to have you on here and talk about it.
appreciate
And like I said, if you guys are looking for a painter, we'll put his description down below. 360 Painting in Dallas. Obviously, if there are problems, he's going to fight all the way to the end to finish it, as you do with
And if
everything.
there's serious problems, Louis will rebuild them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we'll rebuild the house. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for the
Check
opportunity.
back in a year.
Appreciate it, man.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.